Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Pronago bringing another cast. In fact, this is part 2 of an existing series we already started, and I'm back with Shadow Fury. What's up, man?
Not much. Just been reviewing the last one, so I know what's going on.
That's right, that's right. A bit of an up-to-speed move. We did have a Wyvern-powered victory for Shambler in map number 1, and then map number 2, Ramen immediately had a better game plan down and was able to use Scrapyard into Blackjack into expansion to get a little bit more tempo, but then beyond that, just generally had a better sort of reactive play. They had kind of preempted it. Yes, yeah. He had the Seraph, he had the Valkyries, so it was a pretty cool thing to see. Now, we're going to go to Radium to break this tie and decide which one of our players is the better Terran right now. So that's pretty interesting. This is a new map by BiddyB, sort of a spiritual successor to Axiom, like a remake of it in some ways, or a refresh of it in some ways. So it'll be interesting to see how that one works out now that Maxium's kind of taken Axiom's place. I know BiddyB's really just trying to make it so that he has as many maps in the tournament pool as possible.
As many Axiom versions in the tournament pool as possible.
Exactly, exactly. So, we'll have to see. We do have a tournament coming up, so we'll see how many of these end up getting in there. But anyway, I say without further ado, we get into things because I'm excited to see what happens in this TVT, which is a sentence I never thought I would utter, but hey, it's my game, so I can utter it. We've got TopRamen in the top right. I joke about this, TopRamen, top right, TR. He's finally in the top right, and I'm going to guess this is Silver Terran. Indeed it is. Yeah, any ganders down here in the bottom
left? It is. Wow. Okay. I'm going to... This is a color whose name I don't know offhand. It's not white. It's not beige. Maybe it's tan? Can't be red, though.
Okay, hold on.
It is white. Wait, it's white?
I was going to say, I'm going to guess white, but all right.
Look at my color profile. It looks yellow to me.
Oh, no. Have you enabled Flux too early?
No, and it's only 5:30. It shouldn't be on yet. It just looks...
Yeah.
Like, is there... Because like the gray also looks dimmer. Is there a thing, like a color correction thing in Cosmonarchy? I can't remember.
Well, in your options, there might be something you enabled for video. It's like a gamma correction. Mine's like dead in the middle.
Oh.
Might be worth taking a look at that. But I don't know if that's actually relevant.
It just looks different than it did in the last map.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I mean, I will say we are technically on a different map, and maybe there's like different contrast and stuff, because as you can see, BiddyB's tried to make it so that there's like asteroid tiles built in here. We got those tiles ported in from the other tile sets. It is going to be a fulcrum opener from both players. Here's an interesting little food for thought. I have increased the build time of the fulcrum ever so slightly on the latest update, so we might end up seeing Stockade be a little bit more popular as a result. Not sure if that's actually going to happen, but obviously at this point...
Honestly, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Fulcrum is so... Like, it's not so much Fulcrum, it's more the Vulture Cyclops as a defensive option.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a strong opener that Stockade, at least the way people have been playing it, doesn't seem to present an answer.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what people can do with that extra 5 seconds, if anything. I've also been thinking, though, that maybe the Vulture should have its third mine back. Not because it's, it's underwhelming right now. I actually think it's quite good, but just because I want to see more mines, So, I don't know. I might decide to selfishly do that, but we'll have to wait and see.
There's a thing with the placement logic. It does feel a little bit hard to queue.
It's a little bit...
Like, if I try to queue a group and it doesn't magic box the queued order, necessarily. It's a bit weird.
So they kind of like idle on destination or what have you.
Yeah. So one of them drops a mine and the rest of them are just kind of hanging out.
Well, it does let you queue the order or like try to issue the order to units that don't have any mines, and then they just kind of don't do anything in response to it, but it still looks like they issued an order. I don't know, it's a little bit clunky, but that's something that's an old school issue with Brood War. We'll have to rectify at some point. But yeah, I don't know, we'll have to see. Maybe there will be a return to
more mines.
Three mines, yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Shambler just dropping a mine in the back line, which is an interesting choice. I mean, you think, oh, well, I guess they're, again, afraid of drops. Like,
yes.
Ramen has been going for drop after drop after drop. I wouldn't be surprised to go for that again, although, admittedly, they're going for that blackjack. Do I see an anchor? I don't yet see an anchor.
Yeah, he might be, this is sort of like reminding me of when you try to like optimize your build order by cutting corners and stuff. Maybe you skip the anchor part if you don't scout a lot of aggression because you've got more time. And the Mason did see that it was mirrored build order at the start with the Fulcrum opening, but it's just quarry, right? So he goes actually treasury before the anchor, and this is essentially allowing him to skip the defense, skip that spending a little bit. He feels pretty safe behind his mine wall, and he's just going to go ahead and get his natural up, so... it's pretty reasonable stuff. I will say that this map gets simplified compared to Maxium because you know where your opponent spawned. It's only 2 spawns. And so that probably plays a factor in him feeling like he's a bit safer. He knows what to look out for. And I mean, at the same
late
time,
anchor is definitely a choice they can save to make.
I like that there's the one silver mine right behind the minerals of the third base. I don't know what that's for. That must be for like trying to spot a drop. That's a very specific placement.
Yeah, Shambler did this last, or not this specific, but definitely was placing mines around to spot drops coming in. They are rightfully paranoid that Ramen's just going to be throwing Trojans around, throwing phalanxes around.
Yep.
Or at least historically, that checks out. So far, Ramen's actually so focused on economy, they don't even have a second fulcrum yet.
Right, yeah. I mean, they're getting a quarry already up and running. It's halfway done in the natural. Just a couple Cyclops coming, and it is double star pad for the Shambler. So clearly going for like the Ant Seal first, but this could be a quick Wraith transition afterwards. Remember, they don't cost that much Vespene. You can pump out a good number of them. The only trouble is that when you're up against a player who's going for fulcrums, and now the second one being added here for TopRamen, I'm going to just go out and say it. I think Cyclops just annihilate Wraiths if they stay in one spot. So unless you can get to a really nice starting point.
Ooh, third star pad.
Yeah, this is a Wraith push for sure. Now, I guess I will redact my statement in one way, which is that Ant Seals absorb on-hit effects right now, and I'm thinking that that might actually not be intended, but I have to talk to Vik about what he thinks about it. Because some of the on-hits get absorbed and some of the other ones don't, but things like the Hierophant not slowing the Ant Seal when they hit it, or indeed the Cyclops not creating its AoE field.
Yeah, the Cyclops is completely useless under the Ant Seal.
Right, so the fact that Ant Seals are still being paired with this means you might actually have to transition into Goliaths or Blackjacks just to deal with the raw, shields of the Ant Seal, and then see if the Cyclops can get some purchase on. But, it's interesting.
And Ramen has no idea. They're getting the Palladium early on, the Inner Stockade, presumably for the Vestry and Clerics. And that's going to be handy as a way of buying time, but unfortunately the Palladium did not produce units that shoot... Well, it produces the Madrigal, which is never built, so it doesn't matter much. Like, I will say, in reaction, I'm sure. Like that's an option. That is an option Ramen will have once they see the Wraiths. But whether they are able to buy enough time to actually use it before the at least 4 Wraiths on the way come in, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, and the other interesting aspect of looking at the way that this game is progressing as of right now is that I'm quite interested to see what you got the Goliath out, obviously the second one in production, the Phalanx is coming, so Ramen's just expecting blindly that it's going to be a ground push. What is the snap decision? Is there even room to have a snap reaction to the presence of heavy air? Because Shambler's banking this, and, there's plenty of opportunity for Ramen to scout this. He's getting his own star pad now, but it is a little bit late. He kind of hedged his bets on the economy. And sure, he is up workers almost 10, which is significant, but Shambler's going to have plenty of opportunity to equalize that with his raids, I think.
I mean, given the targets are the workers, the best strategy I can think of is dropping watchdogs. I mean, getting an Ant Seal is going to be necessary, and they're going for a Trojan. They're setting up for drops. Ramen is going to be completely blindsided by this shot. I mean, their one hope is dropping in Phalanx around the back behind this push, and I guess either buying time by forcing Shambler to pull their Wraiths back, or making them regret leaving all the ground forces quite weak and allowing the Phalanx to just run wild.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. There is going to be a Watchdog Scout, so that will reveal the air units. It is going to be located at the 9 o'clock position, now lifting off and moving. And look at that, actually, the mine detonates because of the Ant Seals revealing it. The Wraith's on attack move. Ramen should know immediately. He's actually scooping up Masons, oddly enough, I guess, for the island base at sort of 3 o'clock-ish position. Now his Watchdog sort of scout builder just got revealed by all the Wraiths. So Ramen, he knows. The jig is up, but does he have the response? That's the big question for me.
Yeah, it's not a question of do they know. It's a question of do they have time to actually do anything about it, especially considering Wraiths are cloaked and no Ant Seals are present.
Yeah, nothing in production either. Here comes the harassment, already starting to pick the workers. You can see here, Ramen's actually falling behind, and now dead even on the workers. A little bit on there. A couple of Watchdogs here and there, but they can get sniped, and in fact they will. I mean, that Watchdog not even going to get completed before it ends up getting destroyed, not a cancel.
Oh, and it was so close, too!
I know.
It's like 99% done.
Well, the Ant Seal is going to fly in just to die, so that's a little unfortunate, but, there's still 3 of them over here.
I mean, really, it's the lack of detection that's making it that much harder for Ramen to be able to deal with these.
For sure.
Like, sure, they reveal themselves on attack, but by that point, you don't have the drop.
Yeah, you actually got to get close enough to him just to see them, so that can be pretty tricky. You can see he's actually feeling ballsy enough just to focus down individual Goliaths, finding the right times to do this. And I've noticed this about Ramen's play, actually, and you know what? He is playing in this upcoming tournament. Watch this game with close interest if you're interested, as that Goliath stays alive for so long thanks to the Clerics, but the Cyclops get picked off instead.
Oh, the Answer's starting to run out. Shambler is... Their attack is starting to lose momentum, but so far, Ramen is struggling to defend while Shambler able to take that third. Ramen does have at least extra Vespene income, is the one thing going for them. Shambler looking to regroup pretty soon, and Ramen does not quite have the counter to this Goliath in the main base. Some Goliaths in the natural, having lost almost all of their workers, this may be too little too late.
Well, I will say that pretty much all of the worker lead that the Masons end up dying inside that Trojan, all of the worker lead that the Shambler had this whole time hasn't been actualized. All of the workers were idle, basically. So that's probably worth pointing out that as of right now, we have a little bit of a lackluster, sort of focus from Shambler, as he's really been breathing down Ramen's neck with his air units. But he is going to go for tier 2. So that's a pretty big development. He is going to be able to get there definitely faster than his opponent. Ramen has the Vespene, but not the mineral account. He spent so much on various things like that treasury that's about to get sniped, the watchdogs. Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually a little surprised they're not building a couple of madrigals. I mean, you build a couple of madrigals and a couple of ant seals, you'd be able to just clear out all these wraiths, I would think.
Yep, I would think so as well. 17 wraiths and falling, but plenty of other units getting sniped in the meantime, including Ramen's own ant seal.
Ramen. It's unfortunate they did not have the response to this, because Shambler, they've gotten their reinforcements in. They got what, 11? They still have 11 wraiths left. They're coming from 18. Man, Shambler is just constantly doing so much damage. Ramen hasn't yet stabilized, and it's already been about 3 minutes into this attack.
Yes. Yeah, this has just been non-stop harassment.
Shambler looks like they're finally starting to be a little more careful. They're not even leaving it. They're just being actually careful about where they find position to attack from.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's down to a paltry 5 or 6 wraiths left, but he is adding ministries as a wall. You can see 17 idle workers or so transferring over to that third base trying to activate it. And at this point, Ramen is very far behind. Only now getting the madrigal that you were calling out earlier, for sure. Feels like past the due date on that. The ground game is pretty weak for Shambler.
Yeah, but I can't say I blame madrigal because, Ramen for not building the madrigal, because when do you build madrigals as Terran?
All against the time Terran versus Zerg, man, but not versus Terran. You're right.
Not versus Terran, no.
Yeah, and that was the point I was starting when that second engagement came in. Is that I feel like Ramen has this game plan, and if you can harass him, heckle him enough, his crisis response can be a little bit poor. I noticed that against weaker players in terms of the macro game, like Biddy, who would come in with this game plan in the early game and rush him down as Zerg. He was able to take some games off of Ramen, and that's not normally a matchup that I would expect, right? Like, oh no, Biddy is definitely the better player, or sorry, Ramen's definitely the better player in the macro sense from all he's shown. He's beaten Neblime for God's sake. Biddy comes in with the right cheese and is able to sort of knock him off his throne. That's absolutely what you can do versus him. So something for him to shore up and something for his opponents in the forthcoming tournament to maybe try to focus down. But Shambler's kind of just being aimless with his units at this point. He will lose all of his wraiths, all but one Anseal with that squad. Plenty more coming, but Ramen's ground game very scary. This is still a very threatening attack.
Attack pretty much entirely... Oh, there's only 2 Cyclops in these anchors. The rest of them purely existing for the sake of distracting armies. See how that works. Ramen coming in from the side. Nothing in range from the anchors. Phalanx, the only real threat for this army. It's getting focused down rapidly as the Masons come in to start attacking. Okay, so Shambler using their massive Mason advantage to build a wall. And not much else.
Yeah, I mean, the phalanxes are deployed right now for Ramen, so it's a little unfortunate because all of those Masons pretty much did end up dying, but that phalanx sustained so much damage and only now is going to go down. Sentinels at the natural are going to help clean up the rest of this with only 1 phalanx left in action. We'll say none after that. And you know what?
That did give Ramen the information about the tech, though. Like, they know... I mean, they had the Atlas under construction already, but they know... Okay, Shambler's way ahead of them in terms of tech. Like, yes, the army, they're not really ahead. They're kind of even. They managed to deal some damage, slow some stuff down. Still, Ramen only just now getting the 3rd set up, not counting the cheeky Vespene mounting over in the bottom 3 o'clock.
That's right, yeah. Using that reservoir for to
And still
to
has like
good
half
effect.
a dozen workers idle around this missile around this watchdog in the natural.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Hasn't even noticed it. So that is a little bit rough. I will say that when you're on even bases, the worker counts being so disparate doesn't matter that much. It still is going to help you with the minerals, but obviously your gas income is going to be just fine. You can see here though, Ramen really struggling to deal with the ant seals. Does need to start leveraging into that splash, and he's going for starport as soon as his Atlas finishes. He's got a game plan.
Okay, is the game plan Valkyries, or they're just going to turn Shambler's game plan against them and go Mass Gorgon?
Right, yeah, something like that could be an option. They are very, very cost efficient. The Gorgon, very low on the price overall. So,
and we saw like 5 Gorgons can wipe a base out off the map in no time.
That's right, yeah, and not to mention the Wyverns getting real fancy with the Mason kills. So Shambler definitely demonstrated their power in game number 1 of this set. As a general note, if you somehow missed that game, I highly recommend you check it out. Of course, the link to the previous part will be in the description of this video. Classic move.
It's a bit of a longer series, but it's worth every minute.
I'd say so. Yeah, there's definitely some good moments in there. Now, we're finally getting back into the Trojans for Mr. Ramen. He is going to be thinking about maybe doing those drops that he's a little famous for. And I will say, despite having air control for most of the game, if not all of the game, Shambler still has not ever scouted that cheeky spot in the 3 o'clock position, the lower 3, if you will. So I'm interested in that. We've got a commandment add-on, everything else making Valkyries, so it looks like it'll be Valk Seraph again, trying to preempt what Ramen may view as Shambler's kind of only trick in the book. But little does he know, the captaincy has a guild hall add-on. We are seeing multiple autocrats being made.
So the one time that Ramen decides to go for the anti-air force in earnest from the start line, Shambler stops building air. They go with the Wraith push and not much else.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this Goliath push is starting to get a little bit hairy for Shambler. He's got a couple of phalanxes deployed pretty far back, but all the ones that are closer to the defense are going to get got. Looks like that Ministry might be a bit of a target, but now the Autocrats come out and the Ant Seal's going to try and protect them. As these Goliaths start to go down, it's going to get bad news for Ramen, since his units will start to be turned against him as long as those Autocrats are designed well. However, there is a drop in the sort of 9 o'clock area, so war on multiple fronts right now.
Drop the 9 o'clock area being the main source of value here for Ramen. Shambler is still ahead by about 50 workers, but it's just these... Man, that one autocrat... It's really just those 2 autocrats.
Yes.
Actually, Ramen's still making good use of the high ground advantage and the clerics to keep their units alive while holding back. Mostly distract Shambler from realizing, wait a sec, all these Masons could be attacking the Goliaths, but they're not.
Well, there's also a cleric healing them. The Goliaths were doing okay and getting chipped away at, but that cleric has healed so much. Now, the Autocrats have left the building regarding the Ant Seal, so they're dead. And maybe there's going to be some play here still for Ramen. He does have a bunch more ground units sort of idling at the natural, but he's definitely focused a lot of his resources into the air. A sieged phalanx now incoming. Will it be able to drop in a nice spot?
Or at all, for that matter. Yes! Just barely avoids death.
Okay, but there's a mine there.
It drops on top. Yeah, I was going to say, but it drops right on top of the mine. Reveals the mine.
Oh, okay, well, the response is just for Shambler to start attacking the Mason with the Masons. However, his lower 9 is still under attack. He hasn't really cleaned this up. A very messy situation for him.
And still, with that, the expansions they did get, Shambler's maintained the worker lead. Admittedly, we're seeing now Ramen does have a second treasury. Only one of them having a quarry attachment. Another one going in the 5th in 12 o'clock. So far, Ramen working to get their way back in, and Shambler entertaining a massive economic lead by keeping 4,000 resources in the bank.
Yes.
Because why not?
That's right.
Like, right now, Ramen is even... Like, Shambler, if they had twice as many production structures right now, would have probably won the game. And they're getting captaincies, but I mean, like, double what they're building.
Yes.
Because they have 6 fully operating... Well, would have their Mason's Rattle. They have 5 fully operating bases, and when you do the math on that, that's like 15, 16 or so... If I did the math right, it's like 15 or so fulcrums or equivalent. Basically, any production structure. Like 15 or so active running production structures.
Yep, absolutely. You can get so much mileage. Like, the thing that I see people slack on the most is definitely building enough production. It feels like he hasn't even noticed the workers that he's got. He does have a bunch of vultures heading towards 12 o'clock. There are some Gorgons here. You called that out earlier as a potential option. Ramen's going to easily clear up the vulture hit. He's actually even going to lift the treasure to make sure it doesn't take any extra damage that's unnecessary. He is moving his Goliaths away as this base with the lodestone, empty of course, comes under attack. So that's a little unfortunate. Oh, magical drop in the natural. Look at that.
Oh. Okay, that was... Hey, that's a way to use it. Granted, at this point, it's like, what
too many
use
workers.
did it have? Yeah, I'm thinking there's not dying. There's still like Shambler's like, that's fine, I'll just heal up, whatever.
Yeah, there's too many targets for one magical to be able to kill it all, so that's kind of funny. Gorgons are going to head on over and start tickling that lower 9.
Well, that secures Ramen. That secures the northeast corner, or northeast half of the map for Ramen at this point. Like, they have 5 bases operating, and actually operating for real. Finally, Shambler coming to their 6th, realizing they have plenty of workers as Ramen is killing them.
Yes. You know, Ramen's doing him a favor. He really shouldn't be attacking this base because it would have just been there empty.
Yeah, you can see. Yes, Shambler's got a stronger economy now.
That's
for the next, 10 seconds.
Right, until the Gorgons kill everything. And, well, here's more of an offering. Even more workers on their way. But hey, they are coming with some autocrats, so I guess there is that.
Oh, that actually will do something. Bring
it's gonna reclaim some of the workers as well. Yeah, not all the losses. Not all is lost. You know, they're not as efficient, but they're still okay.
You mean the zombie workers?
Yeah, they move slower. So.
Oh, that's the cost. Okay, I was kind of
and look at. Oh my god, this is so funny. So the Ministry in the bottom right can't move because it's been perma-slowed by the Gorgon stacks. And so it actually can't land. That's a cute little interaction there. Little base denial.
Didn't know you could go that far with it.
Yeah, eventually it caps. So here's the beginnings of an engagement. Irradiate would be so huge versus the
Irradiate would be amazing. And off it goes, right in the middle of fight. That's pulling the Ant Seal down a bit. Actually, pulling the entire army down. Everything starting to get drained by the Apostles, or the Autocrats doing everything they can, but simply not enough. Even with all the reclamation, the Irradiate was such a strong move there for Ramen, wiping the entire army off the map. Shambler,
he's typing. Shambler typing.
Oh, I see.
He thought the spells were not ignored.
I think
I just heard. I'm pretty sure I just heard a nuke be painted. Yeah, it's in the lower 9 for the Seraph. Protected by a bunch of Valkyries, of course. And this is as the Goliaths are starting to descend upon the natural. So yeah, we get the fireworks. Fitting for... We're casting this on the 4th of July, of course. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys are having a big holiday or something.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, we had that one on Monday.
Oof. Seraph is going to go down in the big fight over here. So Shambler trying to push him back. But you know what? That nuke is going to destroy the Ministry. So at this point, Ramen has equalized the economy. But this is a big swing in the military.
Oh man, those autocrats! How many autocrats are there?
There's 6 of them, but they're getting through.
Yes, just punching so far above the weight. Shambler making... I mean, Ramen had the army advantage, and had is the operative word here, because at this point, Ramen, despite most of their army being just, reclaimed in the slower, it is... I mean, that is the majority of the advantage. Like, everything Ramen had. Yes. Everything Ramen had is now... Everything the light touched belongs to Shambler.
Well, the workers do get out of that secondary nuke strike, actually resetting over to that lower 9 for now. That does shut the base down for a little bit, but now the Seraph's here, you can just irradiate. Sure, you'll go through that irradiation field eventually, and that'll interrupt the base. But hey, there is this attack coming. Nice shot from the Phalanx, gets a lot of wounded units dead. I will point out, though, if you clump your units up versus Autocrats, you are liable to get them all reclaimed for the enemy player. And Gorgons, I mean, any air unit is going to naturally clump up like that. You're seeing it happen right before your eyes. But at least the Goliaths are here to clean it up.
Oh, and they can be reclaimed, too.
Yes, yeah. Well, hey, Ramen's got his own Autocrats in play. So they're just going to fight over these Gorgon corpses for about 2 years.
Shambler ending up winning that fight and clearing out the 4th base, mostly using Ramen's assets. That's right. And Ramen, despite having the production advantage, simply cannot outdo the sheer amount of capture they're dealing with.
Yeah, that's right. There's like a 1 Autocrat Madcap hit squad headed up to the 12 o'clock as well that's shutting that down.
Yeah, shutting down the defenses too.
Yeah, it feels a little bit too much. I think if he had transitioned into mass phalanx production, which he has 4 fulcrums, I think he's realized it. The phalanxes can be spread out so that they don't get reclaimed. Unfortunately, these 2 phalanxes are not like that. But that would have been a great opportunity for Ramen to basically be like, okay, here's my set of phalanxes. Here's what I got. Nice irradiate there towards the end, but I feel like this is about writing on the wall. I don't think he has enough.
I mean, they're certainly trying. Again, that economy is... Right, granted, Shambler has the advantage, but again, it's the production, it's the use of the economy that's mattering.
Yes.
And those autocrats go down, and the last one's almost gone.
I know. Finally.
Okay. Shambler's army, well, first push finally breaking right as reinforcements arrive. Time has been bought for Shambler's army, and now Ramen, they are holding their last stand. Will they have to hold? Oh no, that's it. Not even a GG. Ramen.
Shambler typed it for him, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Man, those autocrats completely turned the game around. I mean, granted, Shambler economically kind of earned that game, that massive economic advantage in the entire game, but Ramen making much better use of the money they did have, up until the point where Shambler made much better use of the money Ramen had.
Yes, exactly. And so I think it's an interesting thing. Like, obviously, I've got plans to adjust that particular unit, but it's interesting to see the start of the response. Like, I think based on how Ramen responded to the air threat in Game 2, if this is a best of 5 and it was a Game 4, then I think Ramen calls that bluff by if that situation transpires again, he already had the right idea immediately as I said it. He was thinking about phalanxes. You can also think about eidolons or cataphracts, something that will most likely stay alive in the heat of the fight, which maybe eidolons is like more about positioning and less about actual health. But the cataphracts, the phalanxes, they can just spread out and not really be reclaimed at that point, neutralizing the advantage there. Definitely a situation that you're going to want to either do that or maybe go for like a wyvern stack so you can clear out the bio. There's a lot of options that I feel like Ramen may not have immediately thought of in the moment, but give him some time and he will eventually kick back into gear, which is exactly what we saw in Game 2. Didn't get to see it this time around, but you could see the pieces starting to be put together when you see the 4 palladiums, right?
Like we said, Ramen's crisis response may be a little bit too rote, but their ability to adapt within a series is pretty clearly unparalleled.
Yeah, I would say so, as probably our top Terran for that right now. I'm looking forward to this forthcoming tournament where Ramen will be playing. I've called it jokingly, or maybe not. Some of our upper class players or class 2 players, this is kind of their graduation party or test, so to speak, or their final exam. Yeah. How well can you do versus players of your caliber, right? And so we'll have an undercard and an upper card and all sorts of fun stuff. So you guys will have to tune in on that for on the 13th of this month. But hey, once again, thank you, Dominic, for joining me for the cast. Real fun stuff with regards to TVT. Definitely a lot to think about, and I'm just excited to see where things go in the matchup. We actually have more Terran players now, so that's nice. That's great.
You're excited to see how things go in TVT. Well, like I said last time, yeah, that's not a sentence you expected to say.
That's right, yeah. Big surprises. But that's what we got in Cosmonarchy, So, hey, until next time, of course, there'll be plenty more daily casts uploaded to this channel, so stay tuned, subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you on the battlefield. Cosmonarch, GG's.